All right, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris here, Better Investing. Today is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. Didn't make a video yesterday. I don't know what's going on. I got a pretty weak immune system to kind of start the year. Kind of got like a little sinus infection, it feels like. Headache, stuffy nose. But yeah, here to just kind of talk about the market. Not going to be here for too long, hopefully. The market is coming up on it's about 45 minutes or so left for the session closes. Um, yeah, so the one thing like you would kind of notice is like there's a lot of things, pretty much just getting smoked. But it doesn't feel as though it's like a full risk off type of scenario. Like there's still some pockets of strength. It does seem like sector specific in terms of the things that's kind of been just been selling down. Um, okay, now it comes up. It took forever. I was like, "Where's my lines?" But yeah, I mean that's kind of where we're at right now. I mean, for the most part, I mean, this isn't really a healthy trending market, you would say. Definitely a day trader's type environment. I kind of thrive in these environments. I look forward to volatility. Some people can't really handle it. You have to be really quick, cut your losers really fast, and this type of volatility because you think a direction is going to keep going that direction. Um, you try to wait it out, things can really end up bad for you. But I mean, you look at this direction pretty much since like October, like it's really really choppy, not really respecting the moving averages as well. So you kind of get an idea of how choppy it's been in terms of a strong trend. I mean, this is now going to represent pretty much the fourth time we've came into the 50-day moving average. You know, right, and each time has brought in pockets of volatility, you can say the least. Let's just look up here real fast. So I told you I was going to throw this on. This is like the average true range, the ATR. And right now, like what we kind of got is we're trending higher on average, the ATR. So you get about a $7 or so on SPY. And I'm still not sure how I want to use moving averages looking at this. But you can kind of see that trend change on here from a moving average perspective. And volatility is picking up. So take that as what you look at. QQQ. Well, okay, let's finish with SPY first. So really, like for me, like if I'd be really concerned, I would want to see start to close below the 50-day. Right, if you start getting instances like that, I think now, your antennas get a little bit your antennas start to go up, right? If we start to trade, below the 50, and it starts to curl down as well. All right, now that type of action, could kind of cascade into a deeper pullback, but larger time frame and context, we are still above the 200. I'm not a person to sit here to call the top, not a person to sit here to call the bottom. We kind of see, almost similar to, probably back here, right? You can look at this action here. If you would do something like, let's do something like that. Sorry if my voice sounds really low. Right, you kind of see this action here, just nasty. Right, and then we kind of just started to stay below the 50 for quite some time, and it started to curl down as well. Right, now that can be a cascading effect where you get a deeper pullback, maybe into the 200, and that ended up happening. Then we flagged back into the 200 from underneath, rejected, and we rejected some of these moving averages. But this was a scenario that had a catalyst as well. So that was the liberation crap that was going on. So so yeah, that's looking at SPY from a weekly perspective. I mean, I felt like I don't have the seasonality chart up or anything. I don't feel like bringing it up, but it's probably it's very similar to seasonality. Kind of start the year. Um, Looking here at the weekly, right, still above the 20-week moving average, right? Something that we haven't tapped back in since November. This is our chance to really kind of break, structure a trend from a weekly standpoint. Right now we're just, if you just look at it from this perspective, we haven't really went anywhere, right? You look at these candles here; they're just up, down, up, down, up, down, right? It doesn't look like this pattern here. That's where you kind of get that. It's really tough to kind of put on any swings and get any traction on a lot of things for the most part. All right, this thing's doing what? I don't know. What the fuck is it doing? Just keeps cutting in and out. All my moving averages are going. But yeah, I mean that's what we got right now on it. That's SPY. So let's go take a look at QQQ real fast. QQQ. All right, QQQ. Let's go look at the daily first. All right, we'll go look at the daily. I might have to restart this. All right. So, I've always been I've had concerns about QQQ. Ever since it started putting that divergence back here, it was making lower lows and lower highs, while SPY was kind of climbing. And all we did was that we pressed back into this previous all-time high close and rejected. Now we rolled over and we're back below the 50, as well as the 100-day moving average, and we kind of broke this higher low sequence that we kind of established. Again, I think it's a scenario where excuse me. No, I think it's a scenario if like we if we stick around here, we stay down here. We start to just trade down here below here, and this starts to curl down, and these start to curl down as well. I think that's a situation where maybe we pull back into 580. This 200 probably still rise a little bit. Maybe that's the spot where the market just needed to pull back into for the next leg higher. But if we start to forfeit that, be under the 200, definitely be a little more concerning there from a daily trend perspective. Looking here, looks like we almost hit this to a T, which was December 17th low. So it's probably a good spot to mark out. See how we respond and hold this particular low. This is a pivot, right? This is a swing higher low pivot that we're trying to hold here. So keep that in mind. Looking here on the weekly, really quick. Man, this is slow. All right, looking here on the weekly, right? We are, we don't want to lose the 20, right? We don't want to close below the 20 on the weekly. Will be a precedence in terms of the first time we close below the weekly since this big move up, from the liberation, move. That would be your first close below here, and that can cascade into some additional selling. Definitely, bigger position, longer term positions. Who's been able to kind of accumulate, size up in here, and for them to kind of say, okay, where do I want to get out at? I think some algorithms are probably looking at stuff like this, where like, oh, we're back below, some of these shorter to mid-term moving averages, right? And you're never going to know where the top is, right? But you can kind of decide where you want to sell at, and that could be a sell signal for a lot of traders and a lot of investors as well. I'm still interested about this gap back here. It is such a wide, exhausting gap that I haven't seen on a weekly chart on SPY and QQQ. I really wouldn't be surprised if we one day test this. I have no idea. I'm not the person who's going to sit here and say it's going to happen tomorrow, right? And that's a 20% correction. But it's anything is possible in this market, honestly. Even from the highs. I mean, that'd be what. We take it from the highs up here down to here. I mean, it's a 20% correct. I mean, you tell me that can't happen. I mean, how this market has moved. That's the thing. Volatility works both ways. I think a lot of people forget that. But yeah, for me, really, I'm not 100%, full blown, bear mode. Right, I might be late to the party. I mean, I day trade, so I take shorts intraday, I take longs intraday. But like when you look at, really, like when I look at the ETFs that I follow from like a sector perspective, most of them are like a good amount of them are green, right? IBB, which is biotech, is green. Real estate, transportation, regional banks, solar, home builder. I think this is what is this? XLB, materials, uh, energy, financials. So it's not like the entire market is really selling off. It's definitely been like more, um, software based. So right here is like your IGV holdings, and whenever the side this goes, I just flip this. Like you see, like this is really what's really getting clapped right now. Right, you have Palantir down 12%, Appian down 16%, Twilio down 6%, Wolf 7%. Like Datadog 3%. Like these are some bigger type of moves that you're seeing on some stocks. But it's really focused around some of the software stocks. Those are the ones that are start that got hit. Now the question you have to ask yourself, if this selling continues in software, does that start to spill over in other sectors, right? So you might want to be a little bit mindful of that. I think some of the things you'll watch will probably be your Amazons, your Apples, right? Like when the market sells off, like nothing's going to hold up. Everything will sell off. That's why I say it doesn't feel as though if it's a situation where it's truly like a market type of sell off. It feels more like it's sector specific, and that sector being um, you know some of the semiconductor plays, and software plays and AI plays, which had a big move last year, right? So, if you was in some of those moves last year, you're probably looking to reposition this year or take some profit. That's your opportunity. Um, Go here and look at Bitcoin. We talked about Bitcoin a lot lately. Um, I think for me, the issue with Bitcoin was that it could not withstand any sort of bounce that it got. Whether it be over the weekend, after middle of the night. Bitcoin it's just continued to show its weakness, and it's very interesting because like I had a few theses on Bitcoin in terms of like, what is it? Is it a store of value? Is it a risk on asset? And it's like, I don't know what the fuck it is, because like if it's a store of value, now you got gold outperforming Bitcoin, right? If it's digital gold, well, why isn't it moving when gold moves higher, right? And if it's if it was risk on, risk off, well, SPY was still moving higher, but QQQ wasn't really showing relative strength. I think this kind of aligns more with QQQ than it does SPY. So maybe it was more of a more of a synchronization with SPY. But yeah, we're back here into the 73 spot. I'm not sure if this is going to load up. My computer probably needs to be reset. But this is a spot from somewhere. I can't remember where. I don't know if this is. It's not April lows, but it's a spot. That bear flag. It's been multiple attempts to kind of create this bear flag. All right, like here was the look on the bear flag, and here was the look on the bear flag, and now it's like, all right, well, yeah, there's your bear flag. There's your continuation and downside. So. Um, let's go look at. I mean, even if you go look at some of the market breadth, like we're not even. I mean, this has to reset. This hasn't set yet for today. So we probably want to wait and see like where this ends up at. But even from like stocks above their 200 or 50-day, and we haven't really hit extremes yet, right? We're not in the 10-20% range. Where you probably see some type of bounce. So like you might continue to see a little sell off, but again, it's just. I don't know. Like the area where you see it at is got some messages. Yeah. Uh, that's all. That's all for me. Really. We'll take it one day at a time. See what happens with the market. And if you're out there trading again, you might have to size down. Right. You have to be quick. Not a swing trader environment. You see if you can put something on and put a stop in and you get stopped out. Just move on. Leave it like that. Peace. God bless.